Before we get to our next guest, James Gagliano, former supervisory agent at the FBI, we were talking about what Ms. Labasco had to say in that interview on Fox News about air marshals not just being used to essentially do administrative duties at the border rather than be in the skies,
but spy on people.
But also that for the last 3 years, this Operation Quiet Skies, they have been following people who were in the D.C. metro area on January 6th, even if they never went to the Capitol.
Yeah, anybody that flew in, right?
So we want color on this. Sonia Labasco, Air Marshal National Council Director, is the person making these claims. Apparently she's a former air marshal. So Terry from Downers Grove says he's on a January 6th watch list, even though he hasn't been charged with any crimes. Terry, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Oh, hi. Hi, Dan and Amy.
So
yeah.
you have not been, were you at the Capitol on January 6th?
Yeah, I was in the Capitol. You might have saw it written up a few times in the Epic Times. I was peacefully.
So have you been charged with any crimes?
No, I have not.
And are you, I mean, I'm just going down the punch list of what she is saying. So when you travel, are you being tagged for enhanced security? Have you been in, do you know that you're being followed by an air marshal?
Yeah, I was labeled a Quad 6, unknown, 2 years after the fact. And we still don't know if it was because I was vocal, and I think you might know that from school board meetings, or because I was at January 6th, and it was 2 years after the fact that I was tagged a domestic terrorist. And we were on the way out to Charlie Kirk's America Fest. My twins were VIP guests and their friends, and they took my whole family out of the line. My children were labeled Quad S as well at O'Hare as we were flying out to Phoenix. And I couldn't get a boarding pass, and I was waiting at the ticket gate while I had my family go through the Platinum line, and I saw them take my family out. So we didn't know what was going on. They took my whole family out. I ran over there, and I said, "What are you guys doing?" And they said, "Oh, it must be a random check." And then I ran back to the ticketing lady, and I'm like, "What's up with my ticket? I can't, I'm going to miss my family." She gave me a boarding pass to get past to the security. And I go to the GSA security, and then the guy shuts the whole line down, tells everyone to get out of line. And that's when I found out I was a Quad S, which I still didn't know what that meant. And they thought I was on the list on accident because my name might have been similar to somebody else. And then by the time I got to the gate, they were boarding up the plane. My family came from somewhere else where they were searching them. And then one of the agents came up to me and said, he goes, "You're on a list with some really bad people." I'm like, "Really?" We missed a few flights.
And so have you had any interaction? Have you been interviewed by the FBI or been contacted by federal law enforcement?
Yes, I had a visit after the fact, and I'm not good.
You're not at liberty to talk about it.
No, I didn't do anything wrong. They knew about it. When I flew out to CPAC, it was even worse. They sent 5 agents in O'Hare. And I sent you an email with some photos, Dan, I think earlier this week, if you can find it. They sent 5 agents to the I had to go through the enhanced security. Then I get to the gate, and I'm waiting to fly on my plane, and these 5 agents come up. And then they announce they're going to search everybody. I'm sorry, not search everybody. They want to check everybody's driver's licenses and stuff. And I walked up to them, and I said, "I have this Quad S still." And they said, "Please step aside." And one guy came and took my pass and then searched me and right there before I got on the airplane. And then when I left Washington, D.C. to come back, they sent this different 5 agents, including a undercover air marshal. And I think I sent you the picture of that.
So I mean, do you understand yourself to be a target of the FBI, an FBI investigation, or what do you understand yourself to be, other than a
I
Quad
w-
S?
well, I was on domestic terrorist watch list. Matt Gates, Congressman Matt Gates. I got a call, a text message in January from his attorney on my phone and said, "Hey, please, contact me about your situation." I spoke to him the next day, and I said, "How'd you get my number?" And he said, "From Congressman Jim Jordan." And they wrote a letter. Matt Gates wrote a letter to Garland, Ray, and Mayorkas. And then again, I think you have it. He said,
Give
"We
me
wanted to
give
know."
me the upshot. Give me the upshot
Yeah.
here. We got to go. Sorry, but give
Yeah,
me the upshot. So are you a target of investigation? Are you on the list? Are you off the list? Do you expect to be
I'm on
charged? Do you
the list.
not? Do you know?
I suddenly got off the list after Matt Gates sent that letter to Garland, Ray, and Mayorkas in March. They acknowledged receipt of the letter from Matt Gates, but they never answered any of his questions, not once. He wanted to know, are you maintaining a list of school board parents? Am I on that list? Are you maintaining a list of everybody who was in January 6th? Are you maintaining? Well, there was four. I just woke up. I'm sorry. There was
Yeah,
four.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
four,
No, I get it. Well, okay. So,
Thank you for. Yeah.
and
okay,
they never answered. They never answered his questions.
but as far as
Congressman
as far as you know, you're off the list.
Yeah, I flew the next time I flew after that, I was
No.
off the list. Took my TSA pre-check privileges, which I had for 10 years, and I'm a platinum flyer. And we still don't know if it was because I was outspoken school board, school board parent, or it was 2 years after January 6th. I haven't been arrested. I didn't do anything. I was there peacefully. I was back in my hotel before anybody even got into the Capitol.
Okay.
All
So
right.
there was
Terry, we got to go, but I appreciate the story, and yeah, it goes to the point that we're making and that Sonia Labasco is making. Thanks for that, Terry. We're now pleased to be joined by James Gagliano, as a retired FBI supervisory special agent and a doctoral candidate in Homeland Security at St. John's University. You used to be the Redman, but that was too politically incorrect. So it's with the Red Flash now, the Red Wave. Anyway, James Gagliano, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Red Storm. Yes, James, thanks for joining us.
And Amy, good to join you. And yes, it is now the Red Storm. The Red Men is considered, politically incorrect. So
Yes.
it is the Red Storm.
Horrific, yes. And Rick Pitino's turning that basketball program around, so that's fun. But what's not fun is the story that Sonia Labasco is telling on Fox News, what you just heard from a caller here in Chicago, in the Chicago metropolitan area. I mean, do you know about this, this idea that air marshals are following people around who were in the D.C. metro area 3 years ago, even if they have not been charged with any crimes at this point?
Yeah, heard about it the same way you did by listening to the news and seeing it on there. Yeah, it does have a chilling effect on folks, and I think that's the crux of what you're going to want to get into in regards to the FBI. The fact that it appears that folks of a particular political persuasion are being treated differently in our justice system than other folks.
Well, it's more than that. That's part of it, but this is Stasi stuff. Air marshals are following people around who are not charged with any crimes. And if, for example, just taking that story at face value, we have no reason not to believe it, considering he hasn't been charged with any crime. We're 3 years removed just about from January 6th. They're following him around. He's got a special designation. His family's getting rousted at airports. I mean, what the hell is that?
Yeah, it does. This is going to sound like the understatement of the year, but it does sound extremely peculiar, especially with the rules in place right now, the Attorney General guidelines, that for even a preliminary inquiry to be opened up in the FBI, it has to meet certain metrics. And yes, conducting surveillance on somebody or on a family requires certain metrics and certain sign-offs by somebody like me, who would have been a brick-level supervisory special agent and then on up the chain. So, yes, it sounds very disconcerting. It's not the FBI that I know. And, again, I don't have all the facts. Maybe there's a little bit more to this. But Director Wray and AG Garland seem to have a reticence to allay the American public's fears that the FBI has begun to overreach. So I think that's your point.
Yeah, well, you're right. That is an understatement. But we have, and now with the more of this video being released from January 6th, we have this. Just the News reported this. John Solomon's outfit, and confirmed the authenticity of this video. This is, I'll just play it. It's a brief clip. This is a plainclothes, ostensibly a plainclothes Metro DC police officer talking to another police officer on January 6th at the Capitol, talking to another DC Metro officer in uniform, undercover, talking to DC Metro, and this is that exchange.
Well, we go undercover as Antifa in a crowd, so can you put that back in? All right, thank you so much. Yep. It feel better? Did you guys get sprayed?
This was after tear gas had been deployed, which is why he's saying, "Do you feel better? Are you guys okay?" Blah, blah, blah. But undercover, saying, "We go undercover in the crowd as Antifa," talking to a uniformed D.C. Metro police officer. And we get the stonewalling from Christopher Wray and others. You get even the Capitol Police Chief at the time, Stephen Sun, saying, "Very peculiar communications. I was cut out of the loop. It wasn't normal how this was handled." And you wrote a piece for City Journal about fixing the FBI. I mean, the window to fix the FBI in the minds of the people like me who would otherwise be very deferential to the FBI is closing rapidly.
Yeah, Dan, I don't disagree with you. I'll pump the brakes just a little and say this very quickly. The FBI has been around for 115 years. It's done some colossally great things, and I truly still believe this. Though I believe it's broken and needs repair, I will still say this and suggest that the FBI is the premier law enforcement agency in the world, not just in the country. Now, having said that, and I highlighted some of these things in the City Journal piece you're talking about, there are changes that have to be made, and I'll tell you why we've changed. I was in the FBI from 1991 until 2016 for a full 25 years. I served under 4 of the only 8 Senate-appointed FBI directors. So there's only been 8 since J. Edgar Hoover and now to Director Wray. Here's what's changed. It's not the agency itself, but it's the recruits, the people we are bringing in. And Assistant Director retired Chris Swecker spoke on this on Fox News recently. He and I are close friends and confidants. But the workforce, the talent pool, the agents that we are drawing from the 20 and 30-year-old sets, they are becoming more intellectual. That's a good thing, right? More education. They are becoming more liberal. Look at the latest Harvard statistics. Harvard, like a lot of the effete liberal academic institutions, especially in the Ivy League, they are trying desperately to become more diversified in everything, Dan and Amy, but thought. The last class of kids that came into Harvard, 65% professed to be liberals and Democrats, 8% professed to be conservatives. So that's where we're drawing our talent from. So how does that change things? Because somebody's a Democrat means that they can't be a good investigator? No. But their thought process, what's inculcated in their minds on campus, is that you don't just follow the law bereft of fear or favor in investigations, but you put your own imprimatur on it. If you think that this group or this agency, this organization, this collection of individuals is more loathsome than another group doing the same things, you treat it a little bit differently. And that, in a nutshell, my friends, is what I think the problem right now with the FBI.
So when you arrived to the FBI 25 years ago, was it politicized?
Well, I mean, the FBI director is a political appointment, right?
Right.
So the president gets to pick that person. They serve for a term of 10 years. So it's supposed to be able to cross over presidential administration. But the rank and file have always been agents, and they were generally speaking hewing more to the conservative side. Since Director Mueller, who serves as FBI director for 12 years, and then Director Comey, who was there for just shy of 4 years, and now Director Wray, they have brought more civilians in, people put in positions in charge at FBI headquarters that are not brick agents that moved up through the ranks. And I think that's another problem that they're having.
Well, so this is an important point because, we talked to Kevin Brock, former assistant director for counterintel for the FBI, and others, retired FBI. And, a lot of the discussion is, it's the leadership problem, but the rank and file. And you're saying, no, actually, it's a rank and file problem as much as it's a leadership problem, which is very interesting because the point then is if it is being undermined, if it's essentially a fifth column action within the FBI, then I don't know how you fix that any more than you fix Harvard or Yale. Or do we have to wait for FBI agents to be out protesting on behalf of Hamas before we recognize that the thing is being corrupted from the inside out?
No, I agree with Kevin Brock, and I know Kevin. He's a good man. I agree. It is a leadership issue because if I'm the boss and people are coming onto my squad or into my division, and they're not following the evidence bereft of fear, favor, and I detect any type of partiality or bias, I correct that. It's a leadership issue. The young kids that are coming in, many of them are idealistic. They want to come in and do the right thing. But again, look at what's going on our college campuses and universities. As the agent pool is becoming more educated, what do I mean by that? I didn't have a master's degree when I came in. Yeah, I graduated from West Point. I was an Army officer, but I didn't have a master's degree. The vast majority of kids that are coming in now are much more educated than I am. That's where leadership matters, and that's where telling people, no, you cannot do this. You can't cook the books like what happened on January 6th, where they decided that they were opening domestic terrorism cases in all 50 states, which of course causes everybody to say, oh, my God, we've got these white supremacists, neo-Nazis, Trump MAGA people protesting, and there's cases in all 50 states. No, it was one incident, and they decided to use those numbers to suggest that domestic terrorism was this huge scourge on the far right when it was one incident of a bunch of clowns going into the Capitol like they shouldn't have, yet they don't look at it the same way in 2020 when police precincts were being burned, a federal courthouse in Portland was occupied and firebombed. That's different, but the clowns going into the Capitol dressed as a shaman, those folks are now going to rot in jails for a long time.
Well, I mean,
problems.
Yeah, I hear you, but I mean, unless like you and Brock go back, or you get more people like you and Brock in the leadership positions in the FBI, then it's not fixable. It's going to get worse, whatever worse looks like. You're saying it's both a personnel and a cultural problem, which I agree with, but that is not easily reformed.
No, but then you're going to suggest that the wonderful, test democracy we have that's only been around for a little over 2 centuries is not reformable either, because the FBI is a reflection of our country, and that's where we're at. And you guys talk about it every day, about the changes, and these are the things that are ongoing right now. Do I think it's fixable? I do, because I'm ever the eternal optimist. Do I think it's concerning and damning, and do I think that people like you that speak about this have a right to do that and are sounding the clarion call? Yes, I agree with you there.
James Gagliano, retired FBI supervisory special agent and a doctoral candidate in Homeland Security at St. John's University. James, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys having me. You guys take care.
Thanks, you too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.